Got a couple of moves today, not a ton. We're going to give a quick, very quick day two review of the Indianapolis Colts and legal tampering. All that, stay tuned on this, the No Horsing Around podcast. Okay, so day two, real quick. I know it's a little late with it. We're going to have another one coming out probably tomorrow that's going to talk about kind of the day one of actual league year. But I wanted to at least drop in a day two, what we saw transpire. Day one, we saw a lot of re-signings, right? A ton of re-signings for the Colts. Day two, we kind of saw a couple still, right? And we also saw our first outside free agent signing, right? So, obviously it starts Kenny Moore resigns, right? Like we saw that. We saw Rigoberto Sanchez came in with a re-signing. And then we also saw our first outside one in, I believe it's Raekwon Davis from the Miami Dolphins. So, all in all, we saw a couple of different things come across during the day today, during day two. Some of the kind of the figures, obviously, Kenny Moore signs, I believe, what is it? It's a 3-year, $30 million deal. I'm pulling it up right now. I want to make sure that I say it correctly when it comes to it. But we see him re-up, right? We see Kenny Moore come back. We see Rigoberto Sanchez, one of the best punters in the NFL, come back. And a lot of people's beef with this whole thing is the fact that it seems like they're just running it back with the same players, right? That they're just bringing the same people back. But, it's if I told you at the beginning of this offseason, we had a list, and me and Zach did a list on who did we want to bring back. Kevin Bowen did one, red, green, yellow. Who did you want to resign? Who were you okay with if they let walk, and who did you not want to resign? Everyone they've re-signed or have agreed to terms with, right? Supposedly. They've all been people that we would have said. You would have said you would love to have Zaire Franklin longer. You would have said Kenny Moore. Absolutely Kenny Moore. You would have said Michael Pittman Jr. You would have said all these players, right? So, it's not as big a deal. I don't mind it. It's 3 years, $30 million for Kenny Moore. I think that's going to keep him here for the foreseeable future. Rigoberto Sanchez, I'm trying to remember his. I'm going to look his up real quick for you guys too. Rigoberto Sanchez's. He signed a, what do we get? Finalizing. I'm looking. It wasn't a deal breaking. I think it was like $6 or $7 million for a couple of years, and then you get the new signing, right? And I can give you kind of some of the details about him and what he's going to do. He's a big space eater. Obviously, he is a pure defensive tackle, nose tackle, and you got him for, I would say, for a reasonable deal, right? Like you got him and you didn't have to overpay. You didn't have to give too much. It's a 2-year, $14 million deal. Kind of front loaded a little bit. If he has a good year next year, you bring it back for another one. But there's some interesting things with him. I like the signing. I like the look of it. So day one, a lot of re-signings, a lot of news. We heard a ton. Day two, not so much. It was a little bit slower. Didn't hear a lot. There's obviously the L'Jarius Sneed stuff that's still out there. We're going to talk about that in the next episode that we do, talking kind of recapping day one of the actual league year. But, all in all, it is what it is. The splashy one, the big splashy signings, a lot of times they don't work out, right? Like you like to win the press conference and spend all the money. These are all players that we would have set here, months ago, and we did, and say, I want them back. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Now, do I also think Ballard has to do something else? He has to go outside of the building to fix some of these problems. And we'll see what he does, because I think his seat is warmer than it has ever been going into the next year. We're going to see. So As always, you guys like, share, subscribe, comment, all those great things. I want to hear you guys blow it up in the chat and in the comments. And as always, I'm out of here in 5 minutes or less. I love you. Zach loves you. I'm out.